week 15 in the NFL, and so far my picks have been going great, but now things have gotten even better. BetAmerica is powering our green light gambling segment, so to speak, with my buddy Stanford Steve. And the great thing about BetAmerica is they like to have fun with it, and we like to have fun with it. So head over to betamerica.com, check out the odds, the lines. Also download the app, and I want to welcome in friend of the program, longtime friend of the program, Stanford Steve. Stanford Steve, we are moving up in the world, dude. We're not just doing this thing out of the basement now. We got BetAmerica in the house, so we got to be on our best behavior.
All right,
and we got to have we got to
cuss?
Yeah, we can cuss and shit like that.
All right.
But we need to give the people what they want. We need to give people the good, accurate picks that we've been holding out on all year. This has just been preseason.
Great.
Now it really begins.
Yeah, I mean, this is your time of year. NFL only. You're all in. Fuck you and your record.
Yeah.
Shit grin on your
The
face.
death grip might get tighter. Right now, I should mention the totals. I'm 29-13. Stanford Steve, who is my mentor. This is the pupil handing it to the mentor. Stanford Steve is 20-21-1. I think you're doing a playing possum thing. I don't know what you're doing here.
I know what I'm doing. I'm absolutely crushing it in college football, and then I can't win a goddamn NFL game. So it's pretty simple. You're lights out, and I don't know. I want to give you credit because you do look at it. You do, think about, does this line make sense and that stuff. So it's not beginner's luck. I will give you credit, man.
Oh, well, thank you.
Good job.
Steve.
I will be careful. We will talk about this. Bowl season is a whole new level, bro.
Yeah, because bowl season you can't, and we'll get to college football in a little bit, but you can't really you can't predict it based on the norms of the season, can you?
No, there's a lot of factors I want to get into too.
How about real quick question before we get into our pro picks? Are you a real Christmas tree guy or a fake Christmas tree guy? Because I see you have a Christmas tree behind you.
Oh, you see that?
Yeah,
that's fake. That was my one.
Oh, you see that?
That was my one ask with the wife. I'm not a cut down a tree guy.
Oh,
we got
my
kids
God.
running around the place. It's way easier. We put it up in 5 minutes. It does the job.
There's a reason you're 21-1 because of shit like that. That is asinine. But
real shocker that you're a real tree guy.
I mean, I love the smell. And it feels good when you
when you
haul it in the house.
Like
when you haul it.
Just
you can get a Yankee candle. I guess you're doing the Yankee candle thing. The kids know it's fake, right?
Yeah.
I'd hate for the kids to think they have a real tree and they don't. All right, well, let's start with the pros. Obviously, not been your strong point. It's been a bit of my strong point. Do you want to give me your first pick this weekend?
Yeah. We finally have the ultimate last game in the Oakland Coliseum. Feels like we've said it for 4 years in a row. But this is it for the Raiders. The Jags come in playing as bad as it's been. They've given up like 115 points the last 3 games. Just not good. Obviously, Marone, you got to think the writing's on the wall there, and guys are checking out summer vacation, or I should say winter vacations. You would know a lot about that.
I know a lot about the winter vacations.
So I think a lot of emotion, man. You see Gruden, how much he loves that black hole. I was fortunate enough to go to games there when I was in college, and he had that thing rocking. He wants to blow this team out and run down and take selfies with all Darth Vaders and all those, black hole guys. So I expect big things from the Raiders here in a great spot for them. They're giving 6.5. The over's around 46. So I would take the Raiders, but I know you're into these teasers lately. So maybe Raiders and the over, tease the over down.
I like that.
Raiders and teasers, but my official pick will be the Raiders.
I love that, and it's funny to me that a team that gets outscored by like 83 points over the past few weeks is given 6.5. But it's a big deal. And by the way, how shitty is that scheduling? You get the last game in front of the black hole, you get the last game at the Coliseum, and you bring the fierce rival Jacksonville Jaguars in.
It happens.
It only happens once, so let's get it right. I got the Titans giving 3 against the Texans, who feel like they're reeling off of just one game. I mean, that Denver loss was bad. And when you look at that game, you're looking at it and you're saying, is Drew Lock that good? Did Elway get it right? The jury's out on that, but I think it was as much about the the Texans doing nothing right as it was about Drew Lock. And I think for right now, the Texans are kind of living off that Patriots win, which I don't think is that impressive. So the Titans are the hottest team in football. They've been really good against the spread lately. Since Tannehill came on, they're averaging like 31 points a game. Henry's getting going. It's a huge game for them. They need to beat the Texans twice down the stretch here. Sandwiched between that game is the Saints. There's going to be no letdowns. The hottest team in football. I love the Titans. Give me the Titans -3.
Love it. I just hate the scheduling, as you bring up again. These two teams playing twice in the last 3 weeks of the season. It's got to be brutal, man. That's terrible.
Yeah.
And the Texans suck on defense, especially up front with the pass rush since JJ went down.
Yeah,
they're bad.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, Merciless is a decent guy, but other than that, they kind of have to piecemeal it.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on that secondary.
Yeah. What do you like next?
A lot of been made about this Cowboys line with the Rams. The Cowboys open as a favorite. Obviously, they're the most talked about team in the country between Jerry and old Red Jay. And the Rams come in. And I thought it was pretty telling that McVay has come out and said, I've been an idiot. And, when they asked, well, why has Gurley been a big part? And he's like, I'm an idiot. I haven't gotten him involved.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty telling. Goff looks, they haven't played the best comp, all right? But the last couple of weeks, Goff has looked great. But you got a situation of road Goff here that you might see.
Road
the
Goff.
Cowboys don't really need this, because next week it's all in that Philly game because they can't get a wild card. It's all about the division. And the Rams need everything to get in the playoffs. So I think the sense of urgency might be here on the Rams. Now, this is 2 straight 10 days off between games for the Cowboys, between the Thanksgiving and they get that. I'm not sure how that locker room is. The defense hasn't been the same since Van Der Esch got hurt. So I think the Rams come in. The offense is playing better. And I think the Rams do the thing here. I just think they match up well. Cowboys' offensive line hasn't played as well as I thought they would be.
Right.
And the Rams have pieced it together. Their offensive line is not good, but they did a lot more out of the pocket stuff. That's set up by the outside zone.
You're absolutely right.
With Gurley. So I like the Rams here. McVay seems like he's got it cranked back up and he's got the belief of the offense. And Ramsey thinks like he got that thing cooking for the Rams secondary. So I like the Rams there. I think they're playing better and they're a better team right now.
Yeah, they turned in probably one of the best defensive performances across the league last week, beating Seattle and keeping that offense in check. Also, when you look at them and Goff and the reshuffling of the line, and you mentioned the outside zone, he's hitting open receivers. I mean, that's where he's good. I mean, he's not throwing into tight windows. I think we're looking at more of the same against that Marinelli secondary, which hasn't been great. But that's a stay away for me. I like the Niners giving a bunch of points at home after that East Coast stand that felt like a month long against the Falcons. 11.5 is the line. Take the Niners. You've got Shanahan playing against his old team. He wants to show them. I could see him running up the score. This doesn't feel like a letdown game for me because of that element. I don't know how they factor that into the line, but, it wasn't as clean and tidy a departure as people thought there in Atlanta. And I think that there is a personal element there. And also I think this San Francisco team has the leadership to not have letdown games. I thought last week, coming off that physical game in the rain that would drain you, that they might not be firing on all cylinders against New Orleans. Well, at least on half of the ball they were. I think they score a lot of points at home, and I think they run it up. I like the Niners giving 11.5 at home against the Falcons.
Yeah, I was on the States last week because of that. I remember asking you about the staying on the road and going down to Florida and practicing and staying on the East Coast, Eastern time zone. I look at that game a lot like I looked at the Ravens last night. The Ravens have had a crazy 4-week stretch before they blew out the Jets last night, and you just didn't know how they were going to react. Like, does it start to catch up with them? They're still at, they just clinched the division last night. Niners seem like they've had a lot going on the last month. They've responded. They're back in the driver's seat for the 1 seed. Seems like it's a common opponent. They play the Falcons a lot. So it's a lot of points this late in the year, which kind of scares me.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what to make of that defense last week from the Niners. It did just catch up with them. Good scheming by the Saints. Saints were pretty fortunate early in that game, I thought. So Niners offense got it cooking. If they got this and they get that D with the home crowd in the playoffs, man, Santa Clara is going to be a badass place to play in the playoffs.
The way I look at it is they're going to score 35 points or so if they play like they played last 30, 35 points. And so do you think the Falcons are going to go on the road and score 25, 26 points? I don't think so. I like the 11.5. Who do you like third here?
I'm going back to the Arizona. The Browns. I thought the Cardinals were the right side against the Steelers last week.
Yeah.
And just a couple rookie mistakes by Murray, a couple picks down there, a fumble going in. Steelers made the most of their opportunities. Steelers still had one of the worst fake punts I've ever seen, but that's for another time. But the Cardinals are a home dog again here. The Browns don't have the defense. Like Pittsburgh had the defense that travels to Arizona, and they turned Arizona into a Pittsburgh home game. I don't see that happening. I see Arizona playing better, and Cleveland's just to flip a coin, man. When they go on the road, you never know what you're going to get, and I just feel like Arizona's a live dog here, so I like Arizona at home.
I like Arizona as well. I in fact might play the money line this week on Arizona. I'm very confident in those guys getting a win at home, and I think Cleveland's so volatile. You just don't know who they're going to be week to week. Third, I like the Dolphins headed up to New York to play an Eli-led Giants team and maybe win, but definitely cover. They are getting 3.5 points. The Dolphins have been competitive lately, and that's no secret. 3-3 their last 6. I think they're 4-2 against the spread on the road this year. So this is a team that doesn't seem like they're playing for a draft pick. They feel like the team that's playing themselves out of that top spot or those top couple spots. So the Giants are going in a different direction. I don't think they're doing it on purpose either. They've lost 9 in a row. I like the Dolphins on the road.
Do you know the New York Mets have won a game more recently than the New York Giants?
No.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they won later in that afternoon. That Sunday, the Giants won their last game.
Well, all good things must come to an end, but it's not going to be this weekend. And you know what? As much as I'd like to see Eli get to 500 again, because I think legacy is big up there, and it's big for Eli, I think a lot of the reason he sat initially was because he was sitting at 500. I think that was the timing. They figured.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think
okay.
I think the legacy matters up there, and had he been sub 500, which he is now, I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to let him play himself out of this hole.
I got to ask you about Flores, though. He looks like a pretty yoked up dude. Is he a bench guy, hack squats? What's he into?
I didn't see those coaches in New England having a lot of time to work out. If they were, it was like 3:30 in the morning. But B-Flow is a great dude, and he has really done a good job there of galvanizing that group that was the laughingstock of the league. And this is what we do in the first half of the season. We get so carried away. Oh, the Patriots' defense is historically good. The Niners' defense is historically good. Oh, the Dolphins won't win a game. Just wait. Just wait till November and December, and then we'll find out who people are. So to recap, I like the Titans giving 3 against the Texans. I like the Niners giving 11.5 at home against the Falcons. I think Shanahan runs up the score. I think the Dolphins keep it close in New York, getting 3.5 against the Giants. What's your recap?
Cardinals, home dog. I'll take the points, though. Raiders on the verge of a possible blowout last home game in the Coliseum, Black Hole, and the Rams on the road against the Cowboys. I think it's given 1.5, so I'll give the 1.5 there with the Rams. Rams, Raiders, Cardinals.
So now we got the BetAmerica free play gridiron, which I actually might play this. 24 picks. Okay, you ready for this? You got to pick all the winners, and then you got to pick all the over-unders. And if you hit it, you get $1 million. Now, we could all use $1 million.
Yeah.
It's like,
what?
It's like I've
also been in these pools like my whole life.
Yeah.
It's just a continuous donation.
I'm going to donate.
The NFL, every game, pick 'em and over-under weekly pools are just – it's so depressing to think back. Wow, I gave, like weekly payouts and stuff. And you just think back, you're like, wow, I donated.
But Steve, here's the catch. I want to let you go. It's a free play.
Oh.
Yeah, now I got your attention.
Now I'm in.
Yeah, boy.
We're in.
Free play, BetAmerica. And by the way,
BetAmerica's dominating.
I know.
Right now.
They're killing it. And that's what America wants. As Booger McFarland would say, this is what America wants to see. BetAmerica's free play gridiron. That's 24 picks. That is 12, obviously, picking winners, and then 12 over-unders. So, Also, by the way, our lines we read earlier are all BetAmerica lines. I want to get into college real quick. Army, Navy, supporting the troops. One of the best traditions in football. I mean, like, I always wanted to go to one of those games. Okay, you got the Army digs on.
Let's go.
We're going to do a pick here. I'm going to let you go first.
Van Pelt and I have always said, this, it's America's game, and I don't know if you're American if you don't take the underdog every year. So I'm taking Army. I like the 10.5. It's an awesome story. They've actually rolled Navy a couple times here. These guys absolutely hate each other on the field. If you don't like it, you don't think the option, suck it up for a couple hours. It's the fastest college football game of the season. One thing I will point out, because I have a feeling you're not going to take a side because you don't like to do that because you love all the troops.
I love all the troops.
Yeah. So the under has come in 13 straight years.
Oh, boy.
13 straight.
So
feels like time for a change. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. Okay, and that leads me to my point, which is that at 40.5, the over is just staring me right in the face, and it feels right. And we want the troops to score. So if you take the under, you're un-American. And by the way, I want to shout out Jason Van Camp, my buddy who climbed Kilimanjaro with me, Green Beret, former Army player, total stud. He's got a book coming out, but we can get into that another time. But I would definitely lean Army, to be honest, if I had to. But you took that pick. I'll take the over at 40.5. We will get into bowls next week. And this is not a pick, but is there a game you're keeping your eye on?
Yes. It actually involves Navy. Navy's playing Kansas State in a bowl. I believe it's the Liberty Bowl. And Kansas State coaching staff came from North Dakota State, who ran the table the last 4 or 5 years in 1AA, FCS, whatever you want to call it now, football. They have seen the option all those years at North Dakota State. I think with Big 12 personnel that they'll be ready for that Navy option, and I'm not sure Navy can hold up against them defensively because they got Big 12, they got Division I linemen. So I'm looking at that as Kansas State's coaching staff to keep that team motivated against the Navy team. And I played it, like I said, they played against the option plenty of times coaching at North Dakota State when they played Georgia Southern, teams like that. So I like Kansas State. It's right around to pick them there. So I'm looking at that game as we move closer to the bowl games.
So you don't like the troops. Here's my pick.
I do love the troops.
What do you have against Navy, bro?
It's a matchup problem.
I'm just joking. Hey, so I have a pick as well. You might guess what my pick would be, or it's not a pick, but here's a game I'm keeping my eye on. Do you have any guesses?
I would imagine that your first inkling would be to bet on a bowl game that you're going to be at.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be the Virginia game.
It's going to be the Orange Bowl. Have you heard of that bowl game?
Absolutely. Have you ever played in it?
About 30 years ago, Virginia played in it. But listen, first off, Virginia's getting a lot of points. You know, we've gotten a ton of points over the last 2 weeks. We've gotten about 45 or 43 points over the last 2 weeks. Obviously, we were big time dogs in the ACC championship against Clemson. I saw that game. I walked around on the field before the game. We talked about that. Those kids are just NFL players, okay? I think Florida is going to feel like a bit more of a competitive ball game for us.
Mm-hmm.
I like us, getting 14.5 early on. Yeah. We'll see where that line moves, but people in Charlottesville, they love that line, and I'm probably going to be on that one.
Don't say probably. You're going to be.
I'm going to be on that one.
All right. Are you in the box for that game, or are you in the stands with the common folk?
I might be. I was in the stands with the common folk against Clemson. I was sitting in front of.
This is a bowl game. This is an Orange Bowl. You're going to be sunburned. You're not going to want people to see you.
I was sitting there in the stands in Charlotte next to a dude with a Clemson blazer and another dude with a single hoop earring and a mullet decked out in Clemson gear, and then a dude with a Clemson wedding ring, rubber wedding ring with a tiger paw on there. I was really experiencing college football. I can't get enough. I want to see what the Florida fans have to offer. I'll probably be in the stands.
I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to see any Florida. I went to Florida Maryland Orange Bowl back in the day.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, Maryland's got the crowd here. You're not going to see a Florida fan the whole time you're down there, and then they just invade it.
What do they just come out of the swamps?
Yep. And the jorts off them boats.
Off the boats with the fans.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you know what? I made a lot of Clemson friends. Maybe I'll make some Florida friends. They can take me on their boats. Almost forgot my long shot of the week. That actually is going to be happening in our nation's capital. My team, the Eagles, headed down to play Washington in a game that means a lot to them for playoff implications and beyond. I think they come out smoking on defense. They played well recently. I think they held the Giants to 27 yards last week in the second half. 39 is the total. Bet the under. I think the Eagles keep the points down. I think they score offensively, but keep the points down for Washington. I also think Brandon Graham is going to have more than one sack. Brandon Graham with 1+ sacks should be a lock. He always plays well against the team down in Washington, and he's gunning for 10 sacks. Double digits would be the first time in his career. He's got 7.5 or 8. I think he could get it Sunday. And then lastly, I like Carson over the completion total. I think he's going to dice that secondary up, even with a bunch of guys you never heard of. He completed about 70% of his passes week 1 against Washington, and those numbers got worse as the year went on for that defense in Washington. For the long shots, head over to the super odd section of BetAmerica. And those lines that we mentioned today are all powered by BetAmerica. Thankfully, they're our sponsor. We have a sponsor. We've been doing so much great work. We deserve a sponsor. This is what America wants to see, in the words of Booger McFarland.
I love Booger.
He's a friend of your program. So
I love Booger.
I love Booger too. So let's get paid, man. Appreciate you coming on, and we'll keep doing this, and things will get better for you in bowl season, I think, because you know bowl season 100 times better than me.
Well, we got to just see what players are playing and what players are not, and what coaches are coaching and what coaches are not. So it's a lot of research to do, Chris.
I'm going to need you. You got your finger on the pulse. I know it. Stanford Steve, appreciate you joining. Tune in next week. Again, thank you to BetAmerica for powering this segment.